Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Sushusho Shaddadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatittani Shinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam Nashtaprayeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tad Tadarajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Chetayete Ranaviddam Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samshayah shiyante chasya karmani drishtaye vatmanishvare. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Okay, so we'll be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 10, text number 5. Okay. Prabhu, are you seeing the screen with the verse?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. Nadya samudra girayah savanaspati virudah falantyoshadayas sarva kamam anvritu tasya vai. Nadya samudra girayah savanaspati virudah falantyoshadayas sarva Kamamanvritu tasya vai. Nadya samudra giraya savanaspati virudah falantyoshadaya sarva kamam anvritu tasya vai. So we'll read. Nadyaha, rivers. Samudraha, oceans. Girayaha, hills and mountains. Savanaspati, vegetables. Virudaha, creepers. Phalanti, active. Oshadayaha, drugs. Sarva, all. Kamam, necessities. Anvritu, seasonal. Tasya, for the king. By, certainly. Translation. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion. Purport. Since Maharaj Yudhishthira was under the protection of Ajita, the invincible Lord, as above mentioned, the properties of the Lord, namely The rivers, oceans, hills, forests, etc. were all pleased, and they used to supply their respective quota of taxes to the king. The secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, nothing can be possible. To make economic development by our own endeavors on the strength of tools and machinery is not all. The sanction of the Supreme Lord must be there, otherwise, despite all instrumental arrangements, everything will be unsuccessful. The ultimate cause of success is the Daiva, the Supreme. So, we are seeing here that we haven't read the whole purport yet, but until now, what we are being told by Sutta Goswami is the kingdom of King Yudhishthir, or the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, um, and how everything was going very smoothly. When we read, we feel like we want to be there in one sense. Like it's just like we want to be with these devotees who are actually able to invite everything, even the cosmic world, so-called earth, water, fire, air, ether, to function for the benefit of everyone in service to the Lord. They're able to empower, the material world to produce what is necessary for Krishna's service. And they're able to empower the citizens to um, um, cooperate with nature, cooperate with the with the Lord and whatever facilities He has given for survival as well as for service. So that's the beauty. And then we see here that this is happening. Why? Why is this happening? Because of Krishna's sanction. And we all know this famous verse from 18th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Um, there are 5 factors for any action to happen: the endeavor, the performer, the senses of the performer, and the action itself. And then finally comes the uh, super soul, or the sanctioner. Without super soul, even if all the other four are, rolling on the ground and doing their action, this action doesn't get completed. So, what propels or what invites the super soul to empower us or empower a person is the relationship, right? The relationship. So, when that relationship is there, then Krishna can empower actually. So, we see even within our families, when we see our children, when we want to give them something, for example, they just became a teenager and they want to do something like lawn mowing sometimes, or some activity, maybe um, whatever, like videography or something that they want to do. Once they are able to open up what they want to do and then take some like little nice relationship between the parents and children, then empowerment comes also, to actually bring out their talent and then do some service. So similarly here, this empowerment is there for Maharaj Yudhishthira because of his relationship. Without Krishna's sanction, nothing is going to happen, and here we are seeing that. So now we'll continue the purport. Kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir knew perfectly well that the king is the Supreme Lord's agent who looks after the welfare of the mass of people. Actually, the state belongs to the Supreme Lord. The rivers and oceans, forests, hills, drugs, etc., are not creations of man. They are all creations of the Supreme Lord. And the living being is allowed to make use of the property of the Lord for the service of the Lord. So this is a very um, nice understanding that we also get from Ishopanishad. Ishavashyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magrida kasyasviddanam. So we use our quota. I mean, we receive our quota, we use our quota to actually serve the Lord. It's not just for ourselves. So now here, rivers, ocean, forests, hills, everything. I mean, including us and including everything that we have. We didn't create anything, including our own body. It's like coming from Krishna, coming from Krishna's energy. Vinna Prakriti Ashtada. There is like 8 material elements which actually gives us this body and this mind intelligence and all this kind of, whatever we need to function in this world. And then apart from that, we ourselves, Mamayavamsa Jiva Loke, as living entities, we ourselves are Krishna's parts and parcels. So there is nothing that we actually created, even though it might look like we're creating something. We put up a festival, we do something very beautiful, we have created something, or we run some project and we do something very inspiring, and then it seems like we created something. But honestly, Krishna has given us the talent, and if he did not empower, we will not be able to even use the talent properly. So when it is used in Krishna's service, it attains, we kind of get a sense of actual utility or purpose of our life. Otherwise, it doesn't satisfy. No matter what you do with your, with our talents, it doesn't really um, produce a sustainable effect. So here we are seeing kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira knew perfectly that the king is the Supreme Lord's agent. So any person who's in any kind of a leadership role or maintainer role, it doesn't have to be in an organization or anything. Um, if we are a parent, if we are a teacher, if we are a older sibling, or whatever roles we perform, I mean, mother and a wife and a husband, and so many different roles we perform every day. If we eh, This is a beautiful consciousness that we are all aspiring for, that we want to see that we are Supreme Lord's agent, truly, in a true sense, not like in our imaginary world. So if this is there, then mood of service automatically comes, because we see everyone else also like that. This is, of course, what I'm speaking about is the pure devotee's vision mentioned in text 6 of NOI. So nectar of instruction, it is the a pure devotee sees nothing wrong with anybody around, because they see everyone as parts and parcels of Krishna. But still, as a role of a maintainer, or as a role of a leader or a teacher, they take up this role of helping the other person by sometimes bringing their difficulty, the challenges or mistakes, or however we want to frame that, in front of their eyes. So, but still, as long as one is seriously and devotionally thinking that they're, acting as in mood of service to Krishna, Guru and Krishna, then this everything is going to cooperate. Everything is going to fall in place. So that's what we are seeing here. It's ultimately one's relationship with Krishna that makes um, harmony, that brings harmony in our actions and services and interactions and relationships and everything. Okay, so we'll go forward in the purport. Today's slogan is that everything is for the people, and therefore the government is for the people and by the people. But to produce a new species of humanity, this is a very interesting sentence here to pay attention. When Prabhupada gives today's slogan is that, for the people, by the people, of the people. So then people, whatever you want, you do. And, leader, whatever you want, you do. It pretty much became like that. But now Prabhupada is bringing a different uh, species of human being, how a different species can be brought. That's a very strong, nice word that Prabhupada uses. So, but he says, to produce a new species of humanity at the present moment on the basis of philosophy and religion, justice and peace, God consciousness and the perfection of human life, in short, is the ideology of godly communism. The world has to again follow in the footsteps of kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira or Parikshit. There is enough of everything with the will of the Lord, and we can make proper use of things to live comfortably without enmity between man, or man and animal, or man and nature. The control of the Lord is everywhere, And if the Lord is pleased, every part of nature will be pleased. The rivers will flow profusely to fertilize the land. The oceans will supply sufficient quantities of minerals, pearls, and jewels. The forests will supply sufficient wood, drugs, and vegetables. And the seasonal changes will effectively help produce fruits and flowers in profuse quantity. The artificial way of well, we'll complete this. The artificial way of living, depending on the factories and tools, can render so-called happiness only to a limited number at the cost of millions. Since the energy of the masses of people is engaged in factory production, natural products are being hampered, and thus the masses are unhappy. Okay, we'll go back again to the previous paragraph, previous few sentences in this paragraph. So here we see Prabhupada is mentioning about, yeah, to produce a new species of humanity, what does one need to do? Or this is not like, Prabhupada is speaking at a large scale, but we can take in a very personal, small scale within ourselves. Charity begins at home. Home is first the body where we are in, and then only the extended members of the family even. So it begins with us. So how to become a new species of human being from whatever we have been, at least, I think, all of us or many of us are conditioned souls, most of us in this world, and we are having struggles and we are having difficulties in our consciousness if we are really introspecting um, at a closer level. So to become a new species, what do I need to do? And what does a new species have to be based on? Based on philosophy, religion, justice, peace, and God consciousness, and the perfection of human life. So this all things will fall into place. How one becomes a new species or a rejuvenated human being is by following the footsteps of Maharaj Yudhishthira or Parikshit. So this is such an essential principle of devotional service or devotional life, or life in general actually. And we see in Nectar of Devotion the um, definition of pure devotional service is Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhenavritam Anukulyana Krishnanu Shilanam. So we take everything else, but we sometimes we take Anyabhilashita Shunyam into fact. We take Jnana Karma Dhenavritam into, yes, I need to do this, I need to do this. And then Krishna Anushilanam, I want to please Krishna. This whole thing is there. Then the tiniest part which is not elaborated in the definition is Anushilanam. Anushilanam is following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So if without Anushilanam, actually speaking, we will be not able to do all the previous ones. If Anushilanam is not there, we cannot honestly do, uh, Anukulyena Krishna or pleasing Krishna. And it's very difficult for us to do Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam, meaning letting go of this fruitive tendency and dry speculative, you know, tendencies. And then without Anushilanam, we cannot do this Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. How are we supposed to let go of all unwanted desires in the heart without having an acharya in our life? We just don't know which is wanted, which is unwanted. There's so much confusion sometimes. So without an acharya, it's not even possible. So here Prabhupada brings out a very important point that he mentioned. He actually described everything before, what the leader is and all that. One second, please. Yeah, what a leader means. A leader means that one who thinks themselves, or not thinks, one who acts as an agent of Krishna, and one who is trying to be in mood of service. We can't we don't want to go around and keep this as a lens and see every leader around us in one sense, because at least within Krishna consciousness, because everybody is trying their best to be this. As long as the intention is there, then we need to accept leadership. But here, after that, we also need to know what we are supposed to be. We can't just put everything on the leader and say, the leader is not right. Yeah, I mean, Kali Yuga, what do you expect? But then now we need to come back and see what human being I should be. So here Prabhupada is giving that in the purport, that humanity, what new species of humanity means based on all this. But how does religion, justice, peace, everything come, God consciousness come, following in the footsteps of disciplic succession or acharyas. So now we will go further down. So the artificial, here it is, the artificial way of living depending on factories and tools can render so-called happiness only to a limited number at the cost of millions. Since the energy of the masses of people is engaged in factory production, the natural products are being hampered and thus the masses are unhappy. Without being educated properly, the masses of people are following in the footsteps of the vested interests by exploiting natural reserves, and therefore, sorry, where is it? Therefore, there is acute competition. Beautifully Prabhupada is writing. We need to just digest these sentences. It just feels very inspiring to see Prabhupada's writing. Acute competition between individual and individual, nation and nation. There's no control by the trained agent of the Lord. We must look into the defects of modern civilization by comparison here and should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Yudhishthir to cleanse man and wipe out anachronisms. So Prabhupada is very nicely putting it. Um, this uh, so here Prabhupada comes to say the flip side of it. If we don't follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas, if we don't take it upon ourselves to lead our life in an integral manner with our disciplic succession, following in the teachings given by the disciplic succession, what happens? We end up going back to the very reason why we are here in this material world. We wanted to be artificially lording over something. So here the artificial way of living, depending on factories and tools and this can render so-called happiness only to a limited number at the cost of millions. So there is an imbalance already here. There is an imbalance. Only a few people are happy and the rest of the population is suffering. That's one way to look at it. And then we can also see the so-called happiness is very temporary. We know from Nectar of Devotion that what are the characteristics of material happiness? It is chapala sukha, flickering. It's always flickering. Maybe it will flicker for every 2 seconds. It may flicker for every 2 minutes or 2 hours or 2 days or 2 months, or maybe even the max is 2 years or something, 20 years. Somebody is happy, that's a big deal, but it's not going to stay. So there is flickering happiness. We have to see in terms of eternity, it is flickering. So, and then we have bhoga, tyaga. So one keeps on oscillating between enjoying and frustration, enjoyment and frustration. One keeps oscillating between the, we used to have the older, old clocks. We know the old pendulum clocks, right? With every second, the pendulum goes tick, 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 tick. It keeps going like this, oscillation. So imagine we are standing holding that pendulum, and every second we can just really visualize this. Just or instead of that pendulum, imagine we are holding the thing and just standing there, and with every second we are just going like this way and that way and this way and that way. So that's what is actually making us go this way or that way. What is a clock, the time factor? In the in the material world, time is present very prominently. Past, present, future is there only in material world, right? So this what moves I mean, what is moved by the time that moves us to go back and forth. In Bhagavad Gita we learn that when, even in second canto Bhagavatam, we learn when creation and all these things manifest, what happens. This karma, guna, or modes of nature, and the karma, when they interact, how do they interact? They interact because of the time factor. So when the interaction happens, then the swaying movement starts for a living entity, going back and forth, back and forth. So only way to come out of this is to follow again the perfected souls. So Prabhupada is very nicely writing that when we lead an artificial way of living, then the nature also will behave artificially with us. It will not be, nature will not be natural. I mean, it's my sentence, it's not in the purport. The nature will not act according to its nature of producing for the benefit of people, producing for the welfare of the population, so that because a person who's God conscious, for them to survive or sustain, the whole universe will actually cooperate. And then they render this to, they offer everything to Krishna. So actually the purpose of nature is fulfilled when the resources are offered to Krishna. When the person who is actually trying to manipulate or trying to what do you call, harvest or utilize the nature, actually we are given a superior job to utilize the nature. So if that is not if the substance that you're given, if you don't um, help the substance to attain its perfection by being engaged in service to Krishna, then the substance also will not cooperate. So nature is not cooperating because of that. Untimely rainfall happens, untimely, really high heat, and people die out of, heat stroke, and there's so much calamities happening because each of us, I mean, because the population is not directed well in one sense. Of course, by changing ourselves, we're not expecting comfort in this world, but the natural flow is given here. So Prabhupada is given so nicely. We must look into the defects of modern civilization by comparison here, and should. So there is no perhaps here. We must and we should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Yudhishthira to cleanse ourselves and wipe out anachronisms. I looked up what anachronisms means, and then it said like misplacement in one sense. Its simplest way to put it is misplaced. Everything is misplaced. Values, behaviors, relationships, activities, everything is misplaced. To wipe out this misplaced values and systems, one has to follow. So 727, pausing here. So thank you very much. In essence, what do we have to do when we are in a role of, what we must try to do? Let us put it that way. We're not, perfectionists yet. So what we must try to do when we are in a role of extending to anyone, including our children or family or anybody, and then for ourselves to become a new species of human being or rejuvenate ourselves, what we must do. The principle is the same, anushilana, in the following in the footsteps of the acharyas, tat karma pravartana. Everywhere this is being spoken. So that's the beauty of our scriptures, that there is example given now. We can always talk about Maharaj Yudhishthir for hours and hours, I think, because he is such a personality. Whether he had all this, whether he did not have, in times of not having anything and sitting in the forest, even though he's supposed to be the ruler, and now he has everything. Both times he is the same person. He's same. So uh, that's very beautiful. That's attractive. So when we want to do something like that, we need to follow. So we will pause there. If you have any comments or discussions for the next 5 minutes, we can do that.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. This is such a beautiful section, and Prabhupada's purports are really amazing.
Yeah.
Giving guidelines to the whole society on how the world can really prosper in the right direction.
Yeah.
I was just caught by one statement of yours in the beginning, Mataji. I think it is the second or third statements of today's class. You said that what propels Paramatma to empower us to act
Mm.
is the relationship. So I was just trying to think in two terms, Mataji. The way devotees look at Paramatma and the way a yogi or someone looks at Paramatma. So for a yogi or even for a very advanced jnani, there is no relationship with Paramatma.
Yeah.
In general, even people also like, although we don't even connect to Paramatma, actually Paramatma empowers us to do so many things. In fact, everything actually.
Yeah.
So, is it the relationship at a general level, or is it just the karma, which is? I mean, Paramatma keeps watching everything, right?
Yeah.
He just sees, what is there in our balance and just gives it to us, and it is up to us how do we use it. Is my understanding right, Mataji? Or
it, so if I rephrase what you said, Prabhu, so everyone either relates or does not relate with Paramatma at different levels.
Mhm,
So the super soul sanctions and witnesses. That is a famous verse that we all know, Upadrashta Anumanta, right?
yeah,
Upadrashta supervising, Anumanta permitting
yeah,
or allowing. So this happens according to each person, how they relate with him. Is that what you're trying to say? Though, for example, if somebody is just carrying out their thing without even like thinking of super soul, then he's just witnessing and then let the karma unfold.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
even
for
for our own. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for in general, that is how it works. But I
Mm.
mean, when you mentioned that, Paramatma is propelled by our relationship with Him to act. So, is that specifically to those who have understood their relationship with Paramatma, or
For
is it?
us, I feel that this is me, my understanding, and I think in Brahma Samhita also Yam Shama Sundaram, right? Like
Mm,
once we hear that for a devotee, super soul is not just witnessing and sanctioning alone, because
mm,
for a devotee is connecting to Krishna, and when the devotee has perfected their, meaning pure devotees don't see a neutral Paramatma sitting in their heart with four
yeah,
hands.
yeah, yeah,
They see
yeah,
Shamasundara sitting in their hearts. So
yes,
even though we are not pure devotees right now, but we are trying to connect to Krishna by our sadhana process and by our whatever our acharyas, our spiritual masters, and Srila Prabhupada is given, then Krishna does take personal interest.
mhm,
He
yes,
doesn't just abandon, he does take personal interest. And so in whatever way he can, he will do. So he's also the source of super soul.
yeah, yes,
So
Mataji.
he will relate with us that way also.
Yeah,
He will sanction, sometimes he will not sanction, and maybe sometimes it's better that he doesn't sanction for
yeah,
all our desires. So he will take liberty to not sanction when we are able to think that it is, it's based on relationship.
yes,
Otherwise he will keep sanctioning everything, no? I mean,
yeah,
we
yes,
have
Mataji.
experienced that too, right?
Yes, yes,
He sanctioned so many things
yeah.
before now. So anyway, thank you very
Yeah,
much for
thanks
bringing it
for
up.
that clarification, Mataji. I think the way you explained about the pendulum, bhoga, and tyaga, that was very, very. I mean, it was in front of my eyes. And when you said, different frequencies, like some flickerings happen once in a
Yeah,
minute, once in a second. I was able to connect to this. Thanksgiving flickering happens once in a year. People. So now I see everywhere that people are just going out
yeah,
crazily. All this corona and other things are happening. Still, they
yeah,
are just going out and purchasing long queues everywhere.
yeah. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, shocked actually for this, you know.
Yeah, nothing can stop us. To see, like
For this, nothing can stop us.
nothing can stop us. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it's supposed to be ahituki apratihata other way.
Yes,
But here it is like for this.
yeah.
Anyway,
These things were just going on in my mind when you were saying that. Yeah. Thank you
thank
for
you for
beautifully
sharing.
putting that, Mataji. Thank
Thank
you
you
very much.
for your reflections, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Shatarupa. Thank you so very much.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just remembering reading that only for a devotee, I mean, if there is no bhakti, one will not see Paramatma as someone with qualities or savishesha. So it is said that even yogis cannot fully realize Paramatma unless they have touch of bhakti. So it is there are statements which says that Paramatma is also savishesha with qualities, and who will identify Paramatma's qualities unless you carry bhakti in you? I read that, and so I was just remembering.
Thank you,
I just
Mataji.
thought of sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so
Hari
much,
Krishna.
Mataji. That's
Did you try
very
to
nice.
reach me yesterday?
Yeah, I'll call you back, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji, Premananda Mataji, for that beautiful explanation as well. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nirvishesha, Savishesha.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah. There are no other comments or discussion, reflections? Yeah,
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances.
please accept mine too.
All glories to Guru Maharaj, Srila
All
Prabhupada.
glories.
This is like Srila Prabhupada saying to create a new species of humanity. It is like, the river is flowing one direction and we want to create an opposite flow. That one,
Yeah.
I feel kind of just like somebody who feels over anxious about the environmental disasters that this earth is already facing. It's I feel quite how much can we affect the flow of things.
True.
We already feel very helpless in the first 5,000 years of Kali.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
what do you say for that, Mataji?
Very nice point that you brought out, Mataji, that at a practical level, we are seeing that the way you put it is like swimming against the current, going against the flow in one sense, right? And by doing this, what are we going to really change, make an impact in this world, or what are we going to do? Is that right? Did I get it right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So, kind of, maybe I'll say something. So, if I were to say something about this at two levels, I feel, based on what we have been hearing. One is going against the current also makes, we relish going against the current when we keep our goal in front of our eyes. If the goal, if our goal is in front of our eyes, we know what the prayojana of this abhideya and sambandha, we will go for it. No matter the whole world goes for it or not, we don't really, in a very blunt word, we don't care if the whole world supports us. We will go for it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are doing it already because no, honestly, because it's not easy to just practice Krishna consciousness. Just, it's easy, susukam, but with the, like you said, the conditions not being super great, it's not easy. But we are doing it because we are understanding the goal, and we are wanting to get back to our real self. So that's one. And we also understand the flickering nature of all this. That's one thing. And second thing about the impact that we might or might not create. um, i I feel what we are advised also, and what we can at any point do based on even this purport is, until Krishna sanctions, we cannot make any impact. But Krishna will sanction according to our capacity, and capacity not to just execute things, capacity to handle the success. So Krishna will empower us accordingly. So then definitely he'll empower us to at least feel the revolution within ourselves. And he will give the strength to go against the current. That also is actually an impact. The ability to go against the current is an impact of what we have tried to go against the current. You know what I mean? It's like a cycle. You go against the current for some time, and then Krishna sees, and then he gives more ability. You go more and you go more. And then because the material world is an ocean, until we really keep on looking for Krishna and keep on going towards him, then it becomes shorter. Otherwise it remains long as ever. And the impact, whether it is personal, first it has to be personal, that's for sure. And it may be only for one more person in our life or two more people in our life. And that may also sometimes be only to 10% in their life and 20% in their life. It may not be 100% in somebody's life, but every percentage that we Krishna empowers us to contribute matters. It's not like I contact somebody and they become a pure devotee or something like that. It's okay if they're just even chanting one time, because that's my capacity, that's what they will get, and that's even good enough. It's better than nothing, right? So in that way, our contribution or impact may not be global, it may be very local. And local in sense of our own self, local in the sense of just our family, local in the sense of maybe to some extent in the community. It's really like it may be very local, but we function globally at a local level.
Thank you very much, Mother.
That's my understanding, and that's what we are seeing also. To be Maharaj Yudhishthira is not easy. He has gone through so much. We didn't go through anything. So
Thank you very much, Mataji. And when,
thank you, Mataji.
yeah, the individual effort counts.
Yeah,
Keep up
the
that.
effort may be local or individual
Yeah.
or collective, and sometimes individual, sometimes collective. Krishna somehow Prabhupada has built us the system where we can do collective effort, take
Yes.
strength, but still it is individual. And impact also, first it begins with locally, individually, and then it might spread out depending on whatever. If Krishna wants us to be local, we can be local. If he really wants us to be global, he will become global. So
Thank you very much, Mataji.
thank you,
Sometimes
Mataji.
I feel the opposite current is so overwhelming.
Strong. I totally relate with you, Mataji.
Thank you
But
so
we are here doing it, trying to do it together. Even though it's our individual journey, we are trying to exchange and support each other. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
7:43. I think I really am going overboard. One punchline, if somebody wants to, I see someone unmuted. Balram Prasad Prabhu, you're unmuted. If you want to say a statement, we will close the discussion.
Dandot Pranam, Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. My statement is a couple things thought. When a saintly person come to a place, they say, something, you feel something different in this place today because it's raining, it's cooler, something like that.
Yeah.
And then when I was thinking about Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath, he doesn't even open the doors one day because a very sinful person comes there, and he doesn't even open the doors. And likewise, that means it shows through these examples that if everyone is following the footsteps, that means everything will become auspicious. There was a joke, we used to joke around within friends. Oh, you know what, in our native place, today this person is not there, he went to a different place. Look, that's why it is raining today. So that means, see, that is there, people will understand it's there, but we are not in practice. So this morning I was thinking, when you started reading this purports and translation, maybe the assembly and parliament should have a Bhagavatam session early in the mornings. Then
It's not a
then
maybe, it's a should, but nobody is
yeah,
there to take the should.
No, that's what I'm thinking, because we as a small groups, we are reading, but we are trying to understand, become a human being. But if this goes to broader audience, broader, kind of thing, then this is where it touches. That's why I think Prabhupada puts in his purports all this. But how does this will reach to those leaders was a question.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it will reach. We'll keep doing what we are doing, and I'm sure it'll reach. There are many of our leaders doing something at a higher level. So, but then Prabhupada always told, will this whole place become Vaikuntha? No, there are going to be condition souls dropping from above down here. So it's not really super of Vaikuntha. It's not going to happen. So we can't create kingdom of God without God here. So yeah. Anyway,
That's all, Mataji. Thank you.
thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for spending your time this morning with Bhagavatam and extending your time 15 minutes more than the normal recommended time. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa